course, as soon as I hit the go live button, my redheaded stepchild starts barking in the background. We won't hear her, and she'll lay down and go to sleep because it's bedtime for her. So, if you read my description, shadow work came up in one of my groups, one of the groups I'm in. Thank you, Nicole, for asking that question. I will pull up the comment that I left because that was a channeled intuitive nudge. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I labeled what I do as shadow work for myself, and I have not ever worked with clients on that as a specific thing. But when I wrote that comment, let me go find it actually, because it was actually super profound. The question was, how would you describe what shadow self is? Because shadow work is so important. And my response was, it's all the pieces and parts of us that we think are not lovable, that when we gave away our power or chose a path that seemed wrong. But when we shine light and choose to love all of our pieces and parts, we more fully understand who we are and who we came here to become. And that is so much of the work that we do, even if we don't label it as shadow work. When we're doing that internal work and we're calling back, do that glare. I was trying to see if the comments were on my restream. It's supposed to show me the comments from comments that I'm live streaming to. So I have not seen it come through there yet. I don't know if it's just because there's not anybody commenting while I'm live or what, but we'll see if it happens. It also doesn't show me if anybody is viewing. It says 0. So if you're on, leave me a comment. And if you have questions, comment, please, and I will come back to them because I'm streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn all at the same time. But I have never specifically called it shadow work because I guess it just didn't resonate with me. I like the mirror work term better. I don't know. That just resonates more with me. But it doesn't matter how and what we call it, as long as we are intentionally going internal and looking at those pieces and parts of ourselves. We have fractionated energy because when we give away our power, or we have trauma, or something happens that we feel like we have to shrink ourselves or and not speak our truths. Any kind of things. I mean, and some of it's generational, some of it's our own experiences. We all have those pieces and parts of ourselves that are our soul and our energy. And being intentional about going in and shining light on those parts of ourselves that we may not like, or that we're ashamed of, or we don't want other people to know about because and it's still a part of us. And in order to deepen the self-love and expand our growth, we have to look at all those pieces and those parts, and we have to see it for what it was. Because in those moments when we gave away our power, or we shrunk who we are, or we didn't speak our truth, it was survival. It was doing the best that we could with the knowledge and skills that we had in that moment. And it's not that we necessarily made bad choices or took a bad path, or, yes, we fuck up. We're human. We're here to learn. We're here to make mistakes. We're here to fail, because failing teaches us what doesn't work. Failing teaches us what we don't want. And if we didn't and we didn't stumble and fall down and get back up, and we didn't make choices that took us down a path, we would never learn. We would just be stagnant. And just because we have things in our past that the person we are now doesn't like, and we all have shit that we are not proud of. We all have shit that we feel shame about. And we all have pieces and parts of ourselves that we really don't like. And we don't want them coming out. We don't want other people to see them. We don't want to deal with that skeleton in the closet, per se. But if we shine light on them, and that's where the darkness, the shadows come in, if we shine light on them, they're no longer in the dark. And we can ask questions, and we can get guidance from our spiritual team, from our ancestors, from our guardian angels, things like that. And we can figure out why we did it. We may not always know why. We may not ever know why. But we can understand where we were at along our human experience journey. And we can learn to love all those pieces and parts of ourselves. We can shine that light so there is no more darkness and no more shadow. And we can forgive ourselves. And we can love all those pieces and parts. And we can pull all that energy and all that power back into us as we're piecing up all of it back to them. We're fractionated. And so as we call in those pieces and parts of ourselves that we have lost, or we have shoved down, or we gave away, we can call them all back, putting that mosaic back together in a new version. And that gives us a much deeper level of self-love and a much more whole person and whole self-confidence. And we can see where we've been and how far we've come. And that's a huge thing, is to celebrate the growth. If we have things in our past that we're not proud of, I stayed in abusive relationships and marriages for over 30 years, and I raised my kids in all that trauma. I'm not proud of that, and I have had to deal with the guilt and the shame of creating that, allowing that environment that I raised my kids in to cause them trauma. And then the trauma breeds addiction health issues and breeds disease and physical ailments, because I didn't have the skills to understand that, and was doing to myself and doing to my kids. And I didn't know how to teach them to process it in the moment, because I didn't know how to process it in the moment. But as we learn and as we grow and we have those experiences and we learn new skills and new knowledge and pick up tools along the way to help us regulate ourselves so that we don't continue to repeat those things, we can forgive ourselves for that part of us that didn't know, and have that shame and that guilt and regret, or whatever you want to call it. Um, we can learn to love all the parts and pieces of us, and that is basically shadow work. And it's not pretty all the time. It can be very messy, painful to look back at, you know, all of those things that we could have carried around shame and guilt for years and years and years. That's not pretty to look at. That's not fun to do that mirror work on, to look in the mirror and look into your own eyes, which are the windows to the soul, and say, yes, I love all parts of you. Yes, I love who you were, even then, even in those parts that were shameful and mean and vindictive and manipulative, whatever it is, you know, you can let go of that guilt and that shame, and you can love those pieces because they're still you and they served you. Those pieces of you that you may not like, there's all kinds of little Angelique personalities in there, um, that are not necessarily, it's not like split personalities, but it's all the pieces, you know, like when we do timeline work, we go back like to a certain age. We have a memory at a certain age, and that has left a snapshot and caused trauma. And we go back to that certain age and explore what was going on at the time. Why did that stick in our subconscious? Why did we need to be that version of ourselves to be safe? What caused us to do that in order to feel safe? We shrink smaller than we dim our light. We don't speak our truth because we don't feel safe. And we can look at those in new light with new awareness and say, okay, I understand that. And you serve the purpose in that moment to keep us safe. But now I know better ways to process it. I know better ways to handle it. Or I don't need that type of safety anymore because I have grown and I've expanded. And that's just not an issue any longer. And you can forgive yourself. You can tell yourself, I love you for protecting me. I love you for keeping me safe. You did the job that you were intended to do. And now it's not necessary. So let me just hold you in this new version of us and love on you. But we don't need that safety anymore that was necessary then. And that opens massive new energy and clears out all that low level energy that's been stuck there, the guilt and the shame and the hatred and the self sabotage. Those all come with that when we don't like those ourselves and we try to shove them in the closet and say, no, stay there. But they're still there until we actually see them and acknowledge them and love them. And then we can bring them back and start piecing it back together to make ourselves more whole in this new version of us and to bring our power back to where it belongs. And like I said, it's not always pretty, it's not always fun, it can be super messy, it can be snotty and tears, and you might need to scream, you might need to move, whatever is necessary. It doesn't have to take a long time, but you have to move that stuck energy through your body to process it. So whatever works for you, it could be energy work alone, it could be somatic, it could be dance, it could be a scream session. A lot of us have rage that we're ashamed of or feel guilty about, and we need to release that. So whatever works. And if you've never done mirror work, or you've never done a lot of internal work, and you have a fear of doing shadow work or looking at those pieces and parts of you, even if you don't consider it shadows or darkness, ask for help. Ask for support. These 2 new offers that I have out for this 30-day challenge are perfect for this. So the 20-minute rapid fire roast sessions, spiritual roast sessions, if you have like one area that you know of, I don't even know what term, one shadow, one area, one thing that you're aware of, but you have a fear of facing it, or you don't know how to do that internal work to go, drop into your body and into your soul and connect with that part of you. It's kind of like inner child work. Then we can do that in 20 minutes. If it's one single, and if it takes longer than 20 minutes, so be it. These sessions are rapid fire, and we can move a lot of energy and do a lot of transformation in 20 minutes on one single thing. If you're in a position that you have, a lot of things that you want to work on, or you want to do deep shadow work all at once, or you want to do, shadow work and mirror work and energy healing and alignment and all the things, because I have all kinds of different modalities and all kinds of skills and tools and gifts. We can do that in the Rent My Soul for a day. 8 focused hours that we can do all of that. And no, it may not all be done in 8 hours, because there is other, as you start peeling back layers, there's more. And we're always growing, we're always expanding, we're always peeling back more layers, and we're always going deeper. But we can do a whole fucking lot in 8 hours. And I will also support you after that. If we do deep healing like that and deep shadow work, I will be there to support you through the residual and the aftermath, and I will give you tools to and skills that you can work on your own also. But one day can make a massive, massive shift and transformation. And like I said, it can be a mixture of personal, spiritual, business, anything, whatever you need in that day is available. And you get 8 hours together one on one. And it can be a mixture of chat sessions, voice notes. Uh, it, if it's geologically physical or feasible, it can be in person. And we can spend a whole 8 hours one on one in each other's energy. And that would be massively transformational because we can do so much virtually, but there is just something magical, deeply magical about being in someone's physical energy. So that will be something that I want to continue to do more of down the road. So if you're local to me or if it's feasible geographically, we can do that in person too. So let me know. Leave comments, send me a DM. One is called Rent My Soul for a Day, and the short rapid fire spiritual roasting sessions are 20 minutes. And those don't even have to be scheduled if we're doing them on like Messenger through voice notes and chat, or we can do video right on Messenger, um, or we can use Telegram or whatever it's called. Whatever works. I am open to all of it. And just shoot me a DM or leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. But that really resonated with me when Nicole mentioned, posted that in her group because we just came through the dark moon cycle. So yesterday was the first actual new moon. We were in 3 days of dark moon cycle, and I've been talking about it all week. And that's all about going internal and being aware of what you need to release, what is no longer serving you, what isn't yours. And that's kind of what shadow work is looking at what pieces and parts of you need attention and need acknowledgement and need to be loved on and need, to be called back your power, call back those pieces of you that you gave away. And that way, this new cycle, in this new moon cycle, things are fresh and there's space for expansion and space for your new intentions and new manifestations. So, box for tonight, and I am going to post an actual written post on this too because this is so vital and so important. And like I said, I really have never talked about shadow work, and I really never thought about that. I just do it. I thought, oh, I have never done that, but after that came through today, I'm like, oh, I do that, and that's just normal for me. It's just part of my normal processes of pieces and parts of me that need attention, and putting those pieces and parts back into the light so that I can be more whole and be a better version of myself. So I love you. I hope your weekend was amazing. Have a great week, and I will be back tomorrow sometime. I'm going to try to get on earlier because I know my time. This is really late for everybody, and I think that's why I don't have a lot of people coming on. But like I said, I don't know if I see comments because I have never seen any come through on this. But I love that I migrated to Restream from Zoom because I can do it to all 3 platforms in here. Um, and it doesn't distract me. If I want to pop on and just do a Facebook Live where I want to interact, I can still do that. But with this, I can do this all at once and just interact as you guys comment on it and go back later and interact and ask questions. If you have questions about this video or any of the others, ask them in the comments or shoot me a message and I'll address them either in the comments or on my next live. I'm always open to answering questions and, just sharing whatever I can do to serve. And so if I don't know what you need, I can't help. I am off to write a post and then I have to be up at 4 in the morning, so I'm going to bed.